Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. It is Debbie D. Grote here, and I have Ben Kinney in the house. He's joined me today for this great webinar. We're going to talk about how to create your 2024 success blueprint. And we always like to know that you can hear us loud and clear. And we like to know who's joining us today. So we had a huge group register. We'd love to hear from some of you. So if you could type in the chat box your name and where you're from, we would love to see that. And then we'll know that you can hear us loud and clear. Oh, Pam, perfect. Amy, Nicole, wow, they're coming in fast and furious here, Ben. So we've got a great group. You know, I asked Ben to put together some thoughts before we get into the tactics of the pieces that are in the blueprint, in the business plan for all of you to complete, hopefully very soon, so we can use the rest of the year as dress rehearsal. I asked Ben to put some great thoughts together just to get our mind in the right place. So Ben, I think I'd like to turn them over to you if you'd like to get this party started.
Awesome. I'm ready. Everybody, thanks for being here. It's nice to see so many names and people that I'm familiar with that are my friends. And if I don't know you yet, I'm excited to get to know you. Some of you may not know that Debbie was my first coach. Debbie helped me build the business that I have today. And over time, Debbie and I became friends and then eventually partners. She runs Forward Coaching. She's done over 100,000 coaching calls in her life, and she's built one of the most incredible coaching agencies that you've ever heard of. I want you to really think, if you don't have a coach today and you want to take your life, your business to the next level, really consider reaching out to Forward Coaching and getting that free coaching consult after today, after we go through this business plan. And that's the extent of sales that you're going to get, but it's just a request. It's a request for you to think about, if we're going to make 2024 the best business you've ever had, it starts by having those right people around you. So we're going to talk about goal setting and business planning. I'm going to start with goal setting, and then Debbie is going to go through business planning. And we actually created a workbook that we're going to send to all of you that registered for the call today for you to go through yourselves and fill out. So there's going to be some homework from today, but it's really you sitting down and planning with yourself or for your team for business planning for the next year. What is goal setting? In my mind, Debbie, it's the act of selecting a target, an objective that we wish to achieve. Many people, they ask or are asked questions. However, they're often the wrong question. They get asked things like, what does success look like to you? What do you specifically want to achieve? And I think there's a better question. In fact, there's a real question. If you could do me a favor and go into chat and say, if I was being really honest with myself, truly honest with myself, if 100% is I'm living up to all potential that I have, and 0 is I don't get out of bed in the morning at all, what percentage of my potential am I living up to? Be really honest with yourself. How much potential do you have left on the table? Somebody put 2, 7, 50, 70, 40. Anyway, whenever I ask this, Deb, it's anywhere between 30 and 70%, which means people have as much as 70 and as little as 30% potential left over. That's still massive. It's still massive. But in order to live up to our potential, we really have to ask ourselves, what kind of pain do we want? Now, when I think of pain, there's lots of things that pop in my head. I'm not looking for like a 50 shades of gray pain. I'm a gentle boy. I don't want to be beaten. What I'm looking for is, what percentage of my life am I willing to be a little bit uncomfortable? Am I willing to stretch myself a little bit more? And it's painful. It's uncomfortable. I don't want to ask my friends if they have any real estate related plans for the year. I maybe don't want to spend an hour tomorrow recruiting loan officers or recruiting agents to my team. I may not want to call all my old internet leads or call canceled expireds, but it's something that we need to do. The real problem is not determining if we want the result. All of us want more results in our life and our finances and our relationships and our health. We want to be the best that we could be. We wouldn't look at our kids and say, I'm really happy you're only living up to 30% of your potential, kids. Our parents wouldn't go and say, hey, congratulations, Deb. You really crushed it at living up to 40% of your potential. We wouldn't want that from our parents, and we wouldn't say that to our kids. But somehow we get comfortable living in that. We have to ask ourselves, are we willing to accept the sacrifices that have to be made in order to achieve our goal? What do I mean? We may have to sacrifice a little bit of sleep because we got to get up a little bit earlier if we want to fit in a workout, or if we want to get all of our work done so we could always have dinner with our family at night. Or we may have to give up a little bit of friend time, or we may need to give up some of our financial goals so that we could be a better dad or mom or sister or brother or partner. We're just talking about living the best life, but it requires sacrifices. It also requires us to be okay with some of the boring and some of the ugly processes that come before an outcome. If you're not getting what you want in life, I almost guarantee you that you're missing some sort of process, some sort of system. Debbie, I'm surrounded by people all the time that want the gold medal. They want to be number one at something. They want to be a millionaire like me. Maybe I want abs, but I have to be really honest with myself. Am I willing to do the work and live by the diet, or do the things that would give me abs? I mean, I have them somewhere, Deb. I'm pretty sure scientifically I do. It's just been a while since I've seen them. I have to be honest. Am I willing to train like an Olympian if I wanted that? And honestly, I don't give a shit, to be honest. But there are other things in my life that I'm willing to train like an Olympian because I want that medal. And maybe that medal is I want to give away more money, or I want to help more people. I want to hire more people. Well, as I was thinking of an analogy today, I thought of a boat. And I was thinking of the components of a boat. Deb, you're on a lake up in Idaho right now. And if we had a little rowboat out front, we'd hope that it had two items. One, a rudder, and a rudder helps direct the boat which way it's going to go. And two, the oars, right? This is a self-propelled boat. We got to be willing to row your boat, the oars. Well, let's start with talking about the rudders. Your goals in life are a lot like rudders on a boat. They set the direction and determine where the boat is going to go. Your goals set the direction of where your life is going to go. If you commit to one goal, then the rudder stays put in that direction. You're aiming towards that North Star and you continue moving forward. However, if you flip-flop between goals, then the rudder moves all around and you find yourself going in circle, going to chat. And if you've ever felt in at least one area of your life that you are going in a circle, say amen, or say me, or say yes, or say something in chat for me. Thanks, Mark and Jill and Rachel, Susan and Ben Myers, Kelly. I've gone in a circle in my health. I've gone a circle in my finances. I've gone a circle in my relationships. I've gone a circle in my, I've gone in the circle, but it's often because I have conflicting goals or no goals at all. The rudder is not doing the work. Now, the second component of a boat is the oars. If the rudder is the goal, then Debbie, the oars are the process for us achieving it. While the rudder determines your direction, it's the oars that determine your progress. Today, I want you to get clear on what direction your rudder is going to point for 2024. I want you to get clarity. What am I aiming towards? What is 1, 2, or 3 things, maybe in finance and business or in health or in relationships and health and in finance, you pick. Just what are a couple things that we could point at and have clarity on? And then we got to be willing to use the oars. These oars require a system, and they require a goal. You could row really fast, but if you had no direction, you could just end up wrecking the boat. Goals are useful for setting the direction. Systems are great for actually making progress. The primary benefit of having a goal is that it tells you what sort of systems you need to put in place. This year, I hit like a peak of my unhealthiness. I've been battling some sort of medical problem that causes me to vomit as much as 20 or 30 times in a day. It's causing me to get cramps and spasms and tinnitus in my ear, and I've lost most of my hearing in my left ear. It's been a rather demoralizing and hard physical year for me the last year and a half. So the doctors can't figure it out. I spent 10 days at the Mayo Clinic. They couldn't figure it out. And so I have to figure it out. I weighed 252 pounds about 4.5, 5 months ago. Deb will tell you. And I was 193 this morning. I haven't been 193 since 2004 or 5. 2004 or 5. It's not because I didn't try to lose weight. It wasn't because I didn't do different diets. It wasn't even because I wasn't working out. It's because I didn't have a system that worked for me. I didn't have something that I was willing to follow long-term that worked for me. But once I found a system, it was so much easier for the boat to go in the right direction. Very simple, very simple. The system is what actually achieves the result. You know, we at Forward Coaching, we own the software system Brivity. That system guarantees success in real estate if you are willing to row the oars and work the tools that are in it. Coaching will guarantee success in real estate if you're willing to use the oars and do what you and your coach discuss. You'll never get anywhere in life just by holding the rudder. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to row. You have to row. I just want you to ask yourself the question, am I going to lie to myself again this year like I did last year about something I want in my life that's consistently never changed like I've done so many times? Or am I going to pick up the effing oars and start rowing in the right direction? So, how do we set goals that we're actually going to follow? I came up with 3 strategies from my coaching with Debbie and the time that I've spent together with her as a partner and her as my coach that I want to share with you today about how do we actually set goals that get accomplished. Trick number 1, Deb, we would call it a secret. Secret number 1, you have to ruthlessly, such a hard word to say in front of people, you got to ruthlessly eliminate your goals. What? I thought you just said you had to set goals. Well, there's a problem. Your goals are competing with one another. Think about that. Our goals are competing with one another for time, for attention, for energy. What often looks like a problem of goal setting is actually a problem of goal selection. Think about that. That'll kind of mess with your mind a little bit today. Goal selection might be our problem. We need to choose one thing in each area of our lives and ruthlessly eliminate everything else until that becomes a habit or until that is implemented, then we can add to it. This is a beautiful, I think these are roses, Deb. I'm not entirely sure.
They are roses.
Okay, these are beautiful roses. It's a great bush, but it's actually going to die and the flowers are not going to live up to its potential unless it's pruned and trimmed down.
Mm-hmm.
Your life is like that. Your goals are like that, and your activities are like that. Here's the truth. 80% of the things you do every single day make no difference. 80% of the things you do for your kids, they're not going to remember or care about. 80% of the things you do at work make no difference to your income or your life. 80% of the shit we do for our sellers makes no difference to them and no difference to if the property sells or does not sell. 80% of the vitamins we take have no benefit. 80% of the food we eat, we probably shouldn't be eating. 80% of the things we drink, we probably shouldn't be drinking. It goes on and on and on. So that was secret number one. Secret number two, stack your goals. Look at this sentence right here. During the next week, I will partake in 20 minutes of vigorous exercise on, pick a day, Tuesday, at, pick a time, 5 p.m. Where at? In this particular location. This is a very simple sentence. It could be during the next week, I will participate in 30 minutes of focused lead generation to my sphere. Mm-hmm. On Tuesday and Thursday, starting at 9 a.m. until 9:30 from my office. Here's what the science says, Deb. You will have a 2 to 3 times greater chance of achieving that item by simply changing the sentence. Isn't that something? By simply using day, time, and location, Deb, 200 to 300% increase. Something going through your mind, partner?
Yeah. You know, we always have these ideas. I'm going to call my sphere more in 2024, or I'm going to exercise more, or I'm going to reach out of my community and make some greater connections. It is literally just an idea. And unless it is so tactical, and this is what I always discuss with our coaches, it's the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, and the how. If it's not that specific, just like you showed in that sentence, it's not going to happen. And it also makes it difficult for anyone in your life to hold you accountable, to support you in that, if they don't know precisely what it is you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, very simple. Are you willing to add something as simple as day, time, and location to something you want to change in your life? It's interesting, 300% increase. But how do we start stacking habits on top of habits? Here's a sentence that we could try. After blank, I have a habit of doing something. Where's the habit we all do, everybody? We shower. Okay. So let's pretend that most of us shower at least some point during the week. If we shower, after I shower, I will do this. I will do this. Let's say before I get in the shower, I'm going to do 10 push-ups. That's not a world record. I'm not going to get those arms and chest and abs that I want to do in 10 push-ups. But I guarantee you, if I did 10 push-ups before I took a shower, at the end of the week, it would be 70 more push-ups than I did last week. Mm-hmm. Flossing. After I set my toothbrush down, I have a habit of brushing my teeth. I'm now going to create a habit of flossing. So after I set my toothbrush down, I'm going to floss. After I call my sphere, I am going to write 5 note cards. Mm-hmm. After I have an open house, I'm going to stop and make sure that I follow up with everybody that showed up. Very simple. Take one thing you have a habit of doing that's creating success for you in some area of your life, and then add something right after it or right before it. That is what we call habit stacking. Secret number 3. Set an upper bound. Set an upper bound. We tend to set lower limit goals. If you saw the movie Office Space, that was the 15 pieces of flair in the movie, right? And the guy walks up and says, "Hey, why do you only have 15 pieces of flair on?" And the guy says, "Because you told me the minimum was 15 pieces. I have the 15 pieces of flair." And the guy says, "Are you just willing to do the bare minimum?" See, the manager's issue is he didn't set a limit. If he would have said, "You need to have between 15 and 30 pieces of flair," the gentleman probably would have said, "Okay, I'm going to put 20. But if you say things like, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, when you get to 5, you might stop. If you say things, "I'm going to make 10 calls," when you get to 10, you might stop. Alternatively, if you said, "I'm going to lose 5 pounds this month, but no more than 10. I'm going to call at least 10 people tomorrow, but no more than 20. Over time, you're going to average 13, 15, 16, 18. You're going to stopping at 10.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably seen that 100 times in your coaching, in your world, Deb.
Right.
Well, if you look at this chart, it'll resonate. It resonated with me when I saw this image. If you look at the left-hand side of this chart, it says sustainability. And the higher you go up, the more sustainable it is. If I never got out of bed, I would probably never get so tired that I had to stop. But if you hit the ultimate level of sustainability, you're also hitting the ultimate level of laziness. Now, on the lower axis, I guess is what you call it, it's effort. I can sprint, everybody. You probably don't believe it, but I can sprint. It's just not for that long. If I tried to sprint as fast as I could run, which is not that fast in the grand scheme of things, I could sprint, but not for that long. And if I tried to do it too long, I would probably fall, collapse, or have a heart attack. I would hit some form of burnout. Success happens when you can find that perfect balance for yourself between sustainability and effort. What happens when we're having a rough time is we pull into ourselves and don't do anything. And then we get to that "oh shit" moment and we yell "shit," and then we jump in and we go, all out. And then we get exhausted and we have this roller coaster of life, a roller coaster of business, a roller coaster of listings, a roller coaster of finances. We want to find that zone of long-term growth. In many areas of life, there is I like the word magical. There's a magical zone of long-term growth. You want to push hard enough to make progress, but not so much that it's unsustainable. So as you think about business planning, as you think about goal setting, I want you to ask yourself, is this a long-term growth goal? Can I sustain it? I'd rather you lose 1 pound a month and be able to sustain that for a long period of time until you hit your goal, then drop 10 and then bounce back up 12, which was basically my secret to my weight gain over time. I lose 10, add 12, lose 10, add 12. Once you have all these things put in place and you have your mindset and your mind is in the right spot, then you can start working on your business plan. And Deb, why don't you take over and I'll kind of chime in and direct slides, however you want me to work and serve here. But let's start working through this and let's get them into action now that I got them fired up or pissed off, one of the two. They should be either. If you're fired up, say I'm fired up in chat. If you're pissed off, say I'm pissed. If you're asleep, I'll know you didn't respond. Okay, we got a bunch of
They're fired up.
Okay, cool.
I had a chance to have a little warm up this morning on a great Zoom. Travis Bard and invited me to participate in a mastermind session. And I said this on that Zoom, that it's so often that people will create a business plan. And that's great in and of itself that they do that, because we know much of the world never does. They don't have written goals. So you do these amazing goals, and then they go in a drawer and you never look at them again. And maybe there's a new market opportunity and an adjustment should be made to that plan. Maybe you're a team leader, you hire 2 more agents, an adjustment should be made to that plan. But the plan is in a drawer. It doesn't exist. So it really needs to be that living, breathing document that you carry with you, that you review every week, and Ben, that you're excited about. And I think that's what I would love to hear your thoughts on. I think there is that fine line of, reaching to be all you believe you can be. And then sometimes just setting a high number because someone said double it, triple, quadruple it. So to me, that goal has to be something you're prepared to go through the fire for. You're prepared to be in a bit of pain in order to achieve it.
Yeah, Deb, this is a tumultuous time in history. October 22nd, it was probably close to the business planning that we did last year. I did an economic update and I told everybody interest rates are going to hit 8% in 2023. The loan officers said that will never happen. My friends said that'll never happen. The economist said that'll never happen. I got a bunch of texts last night from friends that said, hey, 30-year mortgage rates hit 8%. Mm-hmm. I said, well, yeah, the economics said it was going to happen. That's a hard time in history for us in real estate, and things are going to be a little tougher. So when things get tough, I don't focus as much on my annual goal. I focus as much as on my monthly and my quarterly goal, and I adapt based on that. But I have one piece of advice to anybody that says, Ben, I'd like to sell 100 homes. Ben, I'd like to list 100 properties. Ben, I'd like to make $1 million. Ben, I'd like to net $1 million. Ben, I'd like to give $1 million away. It's the same answer. I would start with 1. If you aren't giving $1 away now, you're never going to give $1 million. If you haven't saved $1 today, you're never going to save $1 million. If you haven't made $1 today, you're never going to make $1 million. If you don't list 1 property today, you're never going to list 100. The secret to your success is getting one thing done at a time. That'll be found, Deb, in this strategic business plan that's going to kind of get us through this challenging year that's in front of us. But usually when a whole bunch of an industry is losing, there's a large group that's actually winning and crushing it.
Yeah, this is our slogan, right? You were built for this. If you were with us at Build How, you know that instead of focusing on Built How we focused on, you were built for this at the last event. Because the truth is, there's so much of the real estate world, Ben, that they're not going to do a plan. They're not on a webinar like this. They can't be bothered. And, some of them will believe that the holidays begin at Halloween. And I think especially in a year like we're seeing right now, you will all see many of your competitors say, I need to take a break. It's been a hard year. I'll start again in the new year. And yet we're so glad you're here, because you see the new year starts today. And this is where we need to identify and attack the opportunities and the segments of the market where there are those must-move prospects. And they may not list today. They may not list tomorrow. And they may list in January, in February, in March. And Ben, I feel sorry for those who will take off the end of the year, because the truth is they won't start in January with production. They'll start in January digging their way out of the ditch. So don't let that be you, because when you start today, write your plan, work your plan, use the last couple of months of the year as a dress rehearsal, you're going to be ready. and you're going to have a full pipeline of opportunity. We talked at Built How about the friendly family review. I shared with Ben that for years I coached farmers insurance nationally, and they kept talking about an FFR. And I'm like, what is an FFR? Friendly family review. Every year, they actually thought it was a great service, a required service that they should call every policyholder and discuss their policies and what needed to be changed and improved to protect them. See, they thought that was very high service. Why then are we not doing the same? And that's what we want to encourage all of you to take these last couple of months of the year and call your past clients, call your friends, call your sphere and say, it's been a weird year. And I imagine you probably have some questions about real estate, maybe about the value of your home. I'm curious, are there some real estate related plans that you have in your future? How can I help you? What can I answer for you? It's high level of service, and it's going to put you back in touch, top of mind, right at a time of year where they're going to be out at social gatherings, parties, and someone says, I need to sell my house. Oh, you should call Victor. You should call Susie. Oh, you should call Asher. I just spoke to Asher yesterday. This is what he told me about the market. So, Ben, what a great time to figure out what all of these people are planning to do in the year ahead.
I think that we should all make a commitment to have a great quality phone conversation with the people that already know us by name, to talk about how are they doing, how are we doing, and ask that simple question that Debbie presented. What are your real estate related plans for next year?
Now, it's also time to call every single lead. 70% of the business that you'll get in the next couple of months or so is probably already in your pipeline of leads. And Jacqueline, our friend Jacqueline Smith, said something to me. She said, I'm talking to my team about don't mistake courtesy for, how did she say it? Courtesy for cooperation, or courtesy for, commitment. Don't mistake courtesy. So you're talking to a lead and they say, oh, yeah, great to talk to you. Hey, yeah, we'll do something next year. And you're like, oh, that's good. I've got a lead for next year. And then you call them in March and they've already moved. So you need to dig into those leads, requalify them, find out the true motivation, and find legitimate ways to spark appropriate urgency, to get them off the fence, to help them achieve their goals. And of course, it's not going to be right for everyone to buy or sell at this moment. And yet it will help you, recalibrate who's your hot leads for the first quarter. Who are the people January 2 you should be on the phone with? So it's a great time, Ben. More conversations, more connections, more face-to-face. I always say, my favorite saying, where there are people, there are leads. You just got to go talk to some people.
I've been working really close with what I consider to probably be the best mortgage company right now in the industry, which is Envoy Mortgage. And they have more unique loan programs than any company I've seen out there. And I was talking to one of the branch managers yesterday, the same day that my friends texted me and said, Ben, you were right, that we had 8% interest rates. The loan officer, branch manager I spoke to said we had 27 locks today. 27 people in that branch committed to getting a loan. And that blew my mind. I said, well, people don't care about the interest rates because they still have to own a home. And those that are renting are currently paying 100% interest. So don't allow the media, the news, or the market to set up this expectation in your mind that nobody wants to do anything, because that is bullshit. There's people that need homes, they need to buy, they need to sell, they need to invest, and they need your help, but you need to reach out to them.
And you got to keep your energy up. I won't beat that up any more than, we already have in the beginning. But it's going to take a lot, right? It's going to take a lot of energy, and it's going to take work on your mindset. You know, I walked downstairs the other day and said to my husband, turn off the news, turn it off. I don't want to hear it. You're obsessing on it. I get it. There are terrible things happening, but you got to stop. You got to stop, and you got to get up, and you got to go work out, and you got to get to work, because there's always something, right? Always something happening, always something trying to pull our mind and into the dirt. You know, Ben, somebody told me a story. They said, I thought that, hey, if my neighbor rang my doorbell and I opened the door and they threw a disgusting pail of garbage into my entry, I would be so offended. Why is it, though, that I walk into my office, or I go somewhere socially, and I allow people to do that? So protect yourself. Surround yourself with great people. Surround yourself with positive things. What you do now, it's going to set the stage for the first quarter of the year. So, Ben, as we move into the business planning portion, you know, we're not going to have time, of course, to have them do all these pages. And just to reassure all of you, you were all sent a copy of the plan when you registered. So if you check your email, you're going to see it there. I think, Ben, though, what happens is people feel like this is going to be really hard or take a lot of time. And that's why we thought if we could just take them through the key pages in the package, you'll see how easy it is. And then maybe you set 30 minutes a day for the next week or two. Get up early, grab your juice, tea, or coffee, quiet time in the morning, and just go as far as you can in that 30 minutes. And it won't take long to have it done. But Ben, I think this is the most critical, and I would love to ask them all to commit, say yes in the chat box, that you will have this short-term business plan done by tomorrow morning. It's only going to take a couple of minutes. Maybe you'll even do it as soon as we finish the webinar. This one is critical because when you think about days worked in the rest of the year, you're going to be shocked. When you look at your calendar, it's not that many. So I want you to think about holidays. I'm going to take a couple days off. I have a family commitment. Go ahead and factor for that, and then determine how many days will I work? How many hours will I prospect? How many contacts? And remember, you can email, you can text. That's great. But when I'm saying contact here in the plan that we're showing you on the screen, that means eye to eye or ear to ear conversation with a decision-making adult. Okay, so actual conversations. How many listing appointments? How many listings taken? Listings sold? Buyer consultations, buyer sales. And right now, some of you do need to go sit down and have a heart-to-heart with your sellers and get some price reductions, right? And possibly even some extensions on some of your listings. How many pendings would be ideal? How many active inventory by the end of the year? And then in this time frame, how many deals can you close? And you may even have a project to complete. Ben, you mentioned Brivity. We have many people here with us today that are Brivity CRM users. And I know that some of them have expressed to me, this is going to be my project to get all my market reports set up. Or some of you don't have a CRM. Well, you need one. So maybe your project is to actually get one and get my data in there and get those auto plans running and ready to go. So this plan is important because with this clear plan, it's going to keep you working when others are getting distracted. And then I want you to think about, what are the benefits you're going to receive when you complete this plan? Maybe you get to take your family on a vacation between Christmas and New Year. Maybe it's just that peace of mind of knowing when New Year's Day comes, you have a lot to look forward to. So what are the benefits? Get the plan done. My deadline for all of you, tomorrow morning. You need to have this complete.
This is so important because 2023 is done. But what we do between now and December 31st is going to determine how 2024 is. So just think really through this sheet and be honest with yourself. Don't pick something so dramatic, but pick something that you can make a promise to and commit. I personally love that you said how many conversations with adults. I know when I was showing a lot of homes, I would always go to the kids and say, hey, tell your parents you need a bigger bedroom. Tell your parents you need a bigger bedroom. I'd always try to work the kids, but I think it would only count if we're talking to adults. Let's go through the next sheet of the business planning guide that we sent out to all of you, Deb.
Yeah. The big why. We all hear about this and read about it and talk about it. We talked about it this morning. You know, your big why is your own big why. It doesn't have to be a mansion and a yacht. You know, Ben, I had a lady that I coached for many years, and she was an orphan in Vietnam and was adopted as a young child by an American family who brought her over, raised her, loved her, educated her, incredibly successful woman. Her big why to net, when you said net $1 million, I thought of her, to net $1 million every year was to save it, to put it away, because her goal was to get enough money to be able to go back to Vietnam, build an orphanage and run it. And she did that. You know, she had a business plan that allowed her, if she earned 1.2, 200,000, she could pay her business expenses, pay her taxes, live on it, bank the $1 million until she had enough millions to go and build that orphanage. So some of you, you're helping family buy a home. You're caring for elderly people. You're paying for your children's education. You're paying off debt so that you can have security and a happy life. But whatever that why is, you know, Ben, I think of that as like the button to push when I get lazy. When I want to avoid doing something, Taylor will tell you, I say, you know, when you get that creepy feeling, that feeling inside of, ooh, I don't want to do this. Oh, not right now. Oh, maybe this is too hard. But then you go back to that big why and you say, yeah, but this is important. This is why I need to do it. So get some clarity around what that is and be excited about it. You know, Ben, what I'm sick of, I am sick of the industry acting like this party is over. I can't have my dream. I can't be all I wanted to be. This cycle will never pass. Of course it will. And there is so much potential in the year ahead. So I hope they get excited about that.
Yeah, me too. You know, your big why could be a pain button, like the 50 Shades of Grey comment I made earlier. Like, if I don't accomplish this one thing this year, how will that negatively affect me or my family or my loved ones? Ask that question. If I do accomplish that this year, how will that help myself, my family, my friends, or my loved ones? I kind of think of it, in other words, as what is a button that could be pushed that when pushed would make me do something that I wouldn't normally do for myself. Let's go through the next page in the book, Deb. What is our transaction goal sheet used for?
Gosh, see, it's so easy. See how easy this is. You're just going to pull your data of last year's results, which is obviously this year, and you're going to estimate for what's ahead, you know, where you think you'll end in the year. And then you're going to set the goal for 2024. You know the old saying, there's no use crying over spilled milk. So if you're not happy and you're crying a little bit as you write down what you achieved this year, hey, you're smarter. You're a year smarter. You're a year stronger. So fix it. Then set those goals for the year ahead. If you're super happy, like, hey, I knocked it out of the park this year, good for you. Celebrate for a moment and then realize now we start again. So year-to-date numbers, goal for this year, make sure that you track. What I'd really like to encourage you, many of you don't track your actual listing appointments. And I would really encourage you to track your listing appointments in the year ahead versus your listing taken, because Ben, when I hear them say, I do really well, I get 75% of what I go on, I get 80% of what I go on, I think, well, why not 98.2%? The reason I wouldn't say 100 is some of those we don't want, but I want you to keep striving to increase those ratios. And the only way you know what you need to do to improve is by tracking, right?
When I was the primary listing agent on my team, I went on 243 listing appointments that year, and I listed 217. It was roughly 89%. So I knew that for every 10 listing appointments I went on, I would get 10 listings. If you know the numbers, it's really easy to plan for next year. If you don't, it's going to be really difficult. You're going to kind of be throwing the darts at your life and not really be on top of it. Let's talk about, I love this sheet, the month by production planner. Why did you create this, and why is it important, and how should they use it, Deb?
Well, for example, because I am here in the beautiful area of Coeur d'Alene, they have seasonality, right? It's going to be 70 degrees this weekend and not next weekend. And then before you know it, they'll have snow. Now, my home base is Newport Beach, California. There's not a lot of seasonality in that market. So you each have to consider your market and say, all right, maybe it's not going to be evenly divided over each and every month or each and every quarter. What's the reality that I need to prepare for? How do I project the number of units that I will sell first, second, third, and fourth quarter? So I think it's just helpful, again, to look at that, to know where you need to do some additional planning around those months where it is a bit quieter in your market. So what are your activities going to be to pump up that volume? Oops, Ben, we're not hearing you now. Suddenly we lost volume on you. There you are. You're back. Now we lost you again. I think it's something wrong with your audio. I kind of don't mind it, guys. See, this is how I keep him from talking back, right? We just don't let it, we just don't listen. Oh, so the 10-10-10 daily tracking form, this will help you. It's very rudimentary. Some of you have great systems for tracking. By all means, use them. Or I know many of you who are utilizing Brivity. There's excellent tracking built into Brivity. But this is just a basic form. Keep on your desk, log those contacts. By the way, remember, as you go throughout your day, if you finished your lead gen session in the morning, you're still in the world. You're still meeting people. Make a game of seeing how many additional contacts can I get before I shut myself down for the day. So this is just a simple form. We thought it might help you. Share it with your team if you have a team, and keep track of those activities. Because Ben, as you said, if they have never tracked, but they start now, in the next 2 to 3 months, they're going to have a pretty solid idea of the numbers they need to do to actually achieve their goal.
Yeah, well said. Can you hear me again, Deb? Am I back?
I can. We gotcha.
Awesome. Okay. Now, if we had a bunch of goals, our rudder, and we aren't getting where we want in life, we already talked about earlier that we're missing some systems. So I love that you added this sheet into the business planning clinic, where you're saying that we may be held back because there's some projects we need to do, systems or operations. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's the number one that I hear at this time of year is I need to either get a CRM or I need to utilize my CRM, clean up and categorize my CRM. And I agree. If that's lacking, put that there on the list. It might be, I need to interview and find a great transaction coordinator because I've got to stop doing this myself. So whatever those things are, don't carry that into the new year, right? And now back to Ben's point earlier about habits, you would then need to say, okay, what days of the week am I going to work on that project? Number one, what time of day? What am I going to accomplish in each session when I work on that project? Because otherwise, we're going to end up at the end of the year and your list is going to be full and nothing has been done. So, whenever you want to get something done, you got to put it into that calendar and make that commitment to get that completed.
I think about projects I've taken on in the past. I needed a better buyer consult. I needed a better listing presentation. I needed to get better at handling pricing objections or financing objections. I needed to get all my database into my CRM so I could work my past clients and friends. I needed to get better at time blocking. I needed to get better at leadership. There's lots of things that I would put on this list different from year to year as I became more successful. I need to get better at investing my money. I need to get better at managing my taxes. These are all things that as you start coming and progressing, you're going to start adding new things to this list of what are the projects for the month or for the quarter or for the year. And then, of course, Deb, we got to have a marketing plan to hit these goals and generate the leads that we want.
And we won't have a lot of time because we're running short on time already to go through each of these. However, they are in the packet. There's a couple of pages that suggest, what are your items of importance? How are you going to build your business? How are you going to market yourself in the community? As you're putting this plan together, we have to think about opportunity. Ben, someone said to me the other day, I love this particular area. I think I want to make it a geographic farm in the new year, but nobody ever moves there. If a house comes up for sale, it sells right away, but nobody ever moves. And I said, do you mean right now or historically? No, historically. I said, well, then that's not a great farm to choose, right? So we want to really think about these activities, the budget, the bandwidth, the staff or support that you might need, the technology you will need, and put that plan together. And again, if you decide it's time for a coach, my coaches are qualified to help you. But I think, Ben, this is an important piece to get the tactics mapped out so they know exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, well said. And there's lots of details in this package as you dive in and start thinking about your marketing plan. But really what I would like you to do is I would like you to pick 5 sources of buyers this year and 5 sources of sellers. They could overlap. Sphere could be one of each, or open houses could be one of each, or circle prospecting could be one of each. But I want you to pick 5 sources of buyers and 5 sources of sellers this year. And then let's get the system, scripts, processes in place to take that to the next level. Use the sheets we put into the guide here to help you think through what is needed. And as you can see, it goes on and on and on in the workbook. This is a project for you to do tonight or this weekend when you have time. Now, next, Deb, let's talk about the self-skill evaluation.
The coaches, and I love this one. I think of the phrase skill up, right? This is the time to skill up. So go through and score yourself. You'll see there will be a couple of pages on this in the package, just on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I'm fantastic at this. 1 is help me, right? So score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Then my next suggestion would be take your lowest scoring items and work your way up. Where are you most challenged? Well, then what are 2 or 3 things you could do to improve in that area? Then you tackle the next one. Then you tackle the next one. The coaches and I, for those of you who are in coaching with us, we love to go through this with you because then we'll actually help you create those action steps to improve in those low scoring items. So no matter how good we all are, we can always beat our own personal best, right? So time to skill up.
Love it. Self-skill goes on. Lastly, I want you to think about finances, and we gave you some tools that you can use when it comes to getting your expenses in order. I'd like for you to organize your expenses by personally what's required, what do you have to pay, And then optionally, what could you pay in additional, your nights out, your dinners, your whatever that might be? Get your expenses, because if you know exactly what you need to make per month and exactly what your optional expenses are, you can build a business plan around that, which will lead you to the end of the business planning packet, which is the buckets of wealth. Now, if you all are thinking about, I need more education in understanding financing and money and wealth building and investing, do me a favor, go to winmakegive.com/wealth, sign up for the wealth series. It's 100% free. There's no cost, there's no advertising. It is a 16-part series on building wealth that covers everything from the stock market, real estate, expense management, increasing your income, reducing your taxes. It's all there, and it's 100% free and something for you to dive into with lots of good workbooks. Let's wrap this up. Deb, as all of you are thinking about your life and your goals, whether you're on the road driving to Utah or you're driving somewhere, you're sitting in your office today, or whatever you're doing, I just want you to think back about what has my year been like, and what is going to make next year even better. We need some smart ways to ensure that we actually achieve our goals this year, Deb.
Review them daily, right? I think we've said that a few times. You know, maybe even write down your top 4 or 5, put them on a little index card, stick them on your bathroom mirror. We talked about this morning, dashboard of the car, stick them on your desk, keep them in front of you. And then they've got to perfect that schedule. And, you know, because of either seasonality or their life with their family, their kids, I really believe in creating a schedule, you know, spring, summer, winter, fall schedule, so they can maximize opportunities and make adjustments for things that might be different in their life, and then work to maximize that billable time, right? There's a difference between activity and achievement.
Yeah, you got to make time on your schedule to get your priorities done, to do your lead generation. You got to make time on your schedule for the people you love. Schedule out your vacations. I know you're going to take your girls on a cruise or whatever you're going to do each and every year. Block that out on the calendar, because when you do, then it actually happens.
You talked about habits. Someone mentioned the book Atomic Habits. James Clear, love that book. Highly recommend it. Determine what bad habits you must break and what new habits you must create. And the great news is your brain very quickly will adapt to any pattern you teach it. It will become less painful, more natural, and it'll just become part of what you do every day. Just start today. And then conversations, just dramatically increasing your prospecting conversations. Hey, wear your name tag, wear your branded polo, go out in the public, talk to people. What do they always ask you? How's the market? And Ben, I love to say, you know, it's an opportunistic market. When you know where to look, what to look for, there are opportunities for buyers and sellers. Hey, why do you ask? Is there an opportunity you're interested in or have a question about? Go talk to people. Where there are people, there are leads.
Yeah, well said. Got to look for opportunities. The opportunities are all around us. You're driving by it. You're sitting in front of people. The opportunities are everywhere if you open your eyes and you start looking for it. We need to commit to getting out of our own comfort zone, as we started the call with today, being okay with a little bit of pain, a little bit of uncomfortableness. Realize that there's always something more you can do, that there's always hope. Deb?
Yeah, cycle's going to challenge us to be all we can be and do all we can do. And guess what, though? We will emerge from this better and stronger and more profitable. And there will be many who will quit, who will walk away from this industry. And that's going to open even more opportunity for those who are there and ready to grab it.
Success is impossible to achieve alone, You need to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that can help you. Ask yourself, who is going to hold you accountable in 2024? Who is that strategic advisor? Who is that partner in life and in business and your financing that's going to help you get and become that potential that you've been leaving on the table? If you don't have a person, 100%, go to forwardcoaching.com/consult. It's on me. It's on Deb. Schedule a 30-minute call with one of our coaches and have them dive into your business and your life and come up with a plan. And if it's the right match, keep them as a coach. If not, know that it's an amazing 30 minutes well spent. Scan this code or go to that URL. As always, everybody, thank you for being on our calls.
Absolutely.
We'll see you on the next one. Drive safe wherever you might be driving. And
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year. Talk to you
right.
all later. Cheers.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Ben.